Hello, hello, hello. It is Wednesday, July the 1st, 2020. And I'm sure some of you have been missing me. I have been MIA. I have been a bad girl. Been busy, a lot of stuff happening, a lot of stuff going on. But, we're going to keep the energy positive and not dwell on the things that may not be going as well as we'd hope. So, uh, it's the first day of the second part of the year, right? And so as I began to think about, today I actually did a training and I thought about 2020 and what it's been like so far. Some of the words that people talk about is, people saying, focus 2020 and all the things they were going to do that didn't manifest themselves. Well, I thought about it and I said to myself today, I said, I think I probably actually did focus more in 2020. Today, I think it's just been different focus, right? And so as we begin to think about that, I hope that you will enter into this last half of the year, the second half of this year, with the focus that you need to figure out, like, how do I navigate the situations that have come upon me? So today, I wanted to talk about something because, while I do talk about a lot of things, it's important to me to always try to see how can I help supervisors or help people who are in the space of leading others. Well, most of you know that this country has gone, almost like 100%, quote unquote, focused on Black Lives Matter, right? People, organizations that we would have never thought would have ever uttered those words are now doing so. But here's some of the good things that I see out of this new awareness, right? People are interested in learning, listening, growing themselves, and training. And so being in the space of training, I think about, like, what are some of the common questions that I hear when I do EEO training, civil rights training, social equity, racial equity, white privilege. These are all the different types of trainings that I have had the honor to deliver. And oftentimes people are a tad confused about the difference between discrimination and being prejudiced. So let's just talk about, in the legal terms of what that looks like and what some of those differences are. Because again, one of the things we want to do is create a safe space that people can ask questions and also grow and learn. So many of you sometimes will send messages to my inbox, which I do appreciate. But hopefully you feel like you can ask these questions and learn and grow in a safe environment, because I also know there's a lot of good people out here in the world who are putting their foot in their mouth, right? So when we think about being prejudiced, prejudice is more of an attitude. Like when you have a prejudice against or for something, but typically when we talk about being prejudiced, we are talking about negative. And oftentimes we're talking about things that are in social groups, right? So being prejudiced against fill in the blank, right? Discrimination is typically the behavior. So what do you do with those actions? And so some of you saw the post I made about a month ago about a situation when I was recently promoted in my organization, and I had a guy come up to me and he said to me, "Oh, Angela, I hear you're the head negress in charge." And I remember thinking, did this man really just say this to me? And so as a result of that, I ended up having to have a conversation with him, because if you know me, you know that couldn't slide, right? Now, it didn't happen immediately, but it happened like the next morning because I couldn't sleep that night. I was so angry. But I digress. But part of the thing that I said to him was, I really don't care what you think. I don't care how you feel. The only thing I care about is your behavior, right? Like, what are the actions? What are the things you say and or do, or the things that you withhold based on the prejudice that you may have, right? And so that to me was an example of me even saying to him in that moment, I don't care if you're prejudiced against me. I care about how you treat me, how you respond to me, what you give me access to, what you say to me, because those behaviors and actions are discriminatory. So when we think about attitudes and the components of the attitudes that could be prejudicial, we're thinking about the affective, behavioral, and cognitive, right? So discrimination is only behavior. So when organizations are found guilty, or individuals within organizations are found guilty of violating rules and regulations or discriminating against people, it's based on their actions. So again, we're not here to change people's beliefs. It would be great if we did or could guarantee that. But the point we're making is prejudice, attitudes, feelings, and thoughts, they're not illegal. So let's just put it out there. So you can think whatever you want about people based on whatever you want. What you think is in your head. And as long as it stays there, you won't get in any trouble. Here is where people mess up. They think it's cute or funny to allow the thinking or the behaviors, or not the behaviors, excuse me, the thinking, the feelings that they have about groups of people to infiltrate their behaviors, show up in workplaces, show up in their communication, show up in their tweets and their posts. Those behaviors are discriminatory. Hence, people end up losing their jobs. So there's a difference, right? All stemming from the same place, so misunderstanding. But what I am saying is there's a difference. So there's a difference. Hey, thank you guys for watching. I'm waving at a few people. But there's a difference between being prejudicial, which is an emotion, a feeling. Hey, Charles Thomas. Oh my gosh. I love this. So Charles, this is one of my favorite people. Charles used to do with me often, and he would lead the trainings, the EEO civil rights trainings, the civil rights specialist, excellent guy, great person, and knows his stuff. And he wrote that everyone could have a prejudice, but not everyone could exhibit discriminatory behavior. Exactly. And let's be honest, we all have prejudices to some degree. Like, I'm prejudiced. When I go to the nail salon, they say, hey, what kind of nails you want? I don't like square nails, right? So there is a prejudice either for round or against square. So in all things, people have preferences or prejudices, or, we could even talk about a little bit about biases, because that fall in there too. But still a little different. But discrimination is against the law, right? The act, the behaviors, the carrying out activities based on, again, the prejudices that we have, particularly against protected groups. And everything is not protected, right? So if I discriminate against people with short hair, because I just don't like short hair, unless we can come back and tie that to a particular nationality or national origin or something like that, it would be hard to say that it was discriminatory, at least in a legal sense. Like I couldn't lose my job for it probably. But, there have been cases, for instance, where certain organizations for hiring had height as a requirement, a certain height. And what was found when these cases went to court was they could be discriminatory, because there are certain, regions of the world where people are typically not as tall as others. And so is it impacting a demographic of people? And if it is, then the person with the requirement has to justify why height is a core component or core requirement of the position. So again, it's a little bit of both. It doesn't mean you can't have requirements, but they have to be work related or job related. And then you have to prove that, again, it's not discriminatory if someone files a case against it. So people get in trouble for discriminating, but prejudices are here and here, right? It's what you feel in your heart and it's what you think. But nobody ever has to know it, right? Your behavior can be clear of it, but I think it's hard to hide. I honestly do. I could be wrong. Charles, you could tell me if you agree or not. But there is a difference. I firmly believe the prejudice leads to discrimination. But the finding of being prejudiced doesn't happen, I guess is the best way to say it. So one is behaviors and one is attitudes, opinions, thoughts and beliefs or feelings about. So that's some of the separation. So we've hit our 10 minutes. I try to keep these HR moments short. I could go longer today because I've been MIA, but I won't because I want to honor my commitment to you. But, ask questions, send me your thoughts. If you are with an organization that's looking to grow in this space in a safe way and in a way that's not defensive, right? Because I've been in some trainings and I thought, wow, that came off kind of interesting. And then I've been in some trainings and I'm like, that really enlightened me and it gave me a new awareness. I don't try to force feed people. I try to bring along new awarenesses so that we can all grow and be better. Again, none of us are perfect. And sometimes our behaviors are prejudicial and or discriminatory unknowingly, like we didn't intend for it to be that way. And we also need to be able to have that conversation so people can fix it. But if we assume that everybody's intent was that, sorry, phone started to ring. But if we think that everybody's behavior was intentional, then we don't even have the conversation. Charles says, I agree what I or how I feel about a matter may be based on a prejudice, but I will not be violating a law by discriminating against someone. Exactly. Again, and this is a civil rights specialist saying that. Charles, you and I have got to talk. I miss you, my friend. But anyway, so yeah, if you're in that space or your organization and you want to have an engagement, a conversation, and so we can begin to look at some of the things that are happening and also just put an eye on it. And what I mean by that is, one of the reasons why I love to talk to Charles when I was in my former career was he brought a different perspective and vice versa. So we want our behaviors, our decisions to withstand outside scrutiny, right? And so somebody else looking at, like, what are the policies that we have here? Could they have a disparate impact on a group of people unknowingly? And who's going to tell us? Because you don't want to find out that the policies you have a disparate impact on a group of people when the case is being filed, right? You don't want the Charles Thomases of the world to be the people that call you and say, hey, we need to talk about that new rule you have. Let someone like me in a training facilitative type environment show up, review your documents, review your policies and procedures, and guide you and help you to clean some of that stuff up. Again, I'm not here to question your motive. I believe that most people set out to do the right thing and they're doing or coming up with the rules they come up with because they think that it makes sense. Sometimes they don't, but that's what they think, right? And so if I can help in that way, that's what I want to do. So thank you everyone for watching. I appreciate you. My buddy Charles, you missed me too. Aww. So I'm going to call you this evening now, right? So anyway, take care, everybody. Again, today's Friday, July 1. This is the first day of the last 6 months of 2020. We're still quarantined, many of us, but that's okay. Life goes on for us that we have to figure it out, right? We figured it out. We're navigating this new terrain. So how can I help you? If I can do anything to assist you, let me know. Jump on Friday. I will be back. Again, thank you for watching, and I have missed you guys. Take care. Bye.